So, welcome everyone. I'm so delighted that you are here to the video. Step into the divine manifester. You are with the power of the word decree. So, I'm just going to jump on in and begin with a story. So, this story actually comes from Michael Margolis in the book Story 10X. And I've just changed it around a little bit. He uses a little boy. I'm going to use a little girl because I'm a girl, a woman. So, in this story, imagine, if you will, a 10-year-old girl who has a very serious look on her face. And she has a black cape and a wand, and she's ready to perform some very serious magic. And she knows that beyond her black cape and her wand, that she is loaded with something very special. She is loaded with something that great magicians have used for decades upon decades. She is loaded with the word abracadabra. This word, very common but remarkable word that has its origins lost in history, is correlated actually to the phrase abracadabra. And if you look that up, you'll see in folk etymologies that these two words are Hebrew, and what they mean is I will create as I speak. And this is the essence of what the power of the word is all about. I will create as I speak. But today we're going to drop into really defining and dissecting this. What does that actually mean? How can we really create as we speak? So, for those of you who are new to me, my name is Dr. Melissa Sophia Joy. I'm the founding director of Sophia Healing Academy. I am also, what I'm saying these days, I'm actually the co creator or conduit of Somatic Awakening, which is a healing practice as well as a spiritual practice and mystical path that was shown to me primarily from Mary Magdalene. That's why I say I'm a co creator. And today we're going to drop in deeply to what I have been shown, both by Mary Magdalene and Yeshua, Jesus, to really understand how we can step more fully into being divine co creators. So, what I'd like to, first of all, just say that the power of the word decree is a part of the third phase of somatic awakening, what I call quantum somatic awakening. And really, what we're doing with this third phase is that we are integrating our higher self into our lives in many, many different ways. The power of the word decree is one aspect of quantum somatic awakening. There's also working with and utilizing healing in regard to past lives and working with future lives. We're also working with healing familial and ancestral imprints. We're connecting to the Akashic records. We're also connecting to mentoring with ascended masters and many, many other things. And if you would like to find out more about this, you can go on Sophia Healing Academy website and read about somatic awakening. Today, however, we're going to be talking about the power of the word decree. So, at the first level, the power of the word decree really helps you stabilize your healing and your awakening as you connect more and more to the potency of this process. And as you go deeper and deeper into utilization of it, what it does is that it helps create, helps manifest the miracles that are already yours, the miracles that are connected to your highest good, your higher self, so that you're living more and more in alignment with your highest timeline. And we're going to be talking exactly about that. How do we actually connect in? What do we need to do? Or how should we be in order for that to happen? And for myself, I know I sat with this for many, many, many years, was very confused. We all know about the law of attraction, but how does it actually work in this context of really stepping into being a divine co-creator? So we're going to be talking exactly about that today. So I will say this, I'll give you a little preface here. What we're really doing is that we are connecting from our higher self complex, which the way that I define that is our spirit, our heart, our soul. So these higher aspects of ourselves and merging those aspects of self and the energy, the divine energy that's there with our empowered divine will. And when we do that, that's when we step more and more into manifesting our highest timeline and highest good. Yeshua was really showing us how to do this when he was performing his highest miracles. This is what he was doing. This is what I would have been shown. And he talks about this in Matthew 7:7 when he says, ask and it will be given you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened to you. So, in essence, what he's showing us here is that there is a doorway that we can walk through to make manifest our highest destiny. And I'm delighted to share this with you today. So, what I'd like to go into next is sharing a little bit of the story of how this came to be, because it's such a potent story and I love it so much. So, back in 2015, I went on spiritual pilgrimage to the south of France. And this is where Mary Magdalene lived after Yeshua's crucifixions. And there are many legends and artifacts that show that this is true. So during that pilgrimage, I had multiple powerful healings and awakenings that literally changed my life. But the one experience that will forever be imprinted upon me is when I went to the church of Sainte Marie de la Mar. And this is in the Camargue region of France. Sainte Marie de la Mar stands for the Three Marys, who legend has it arrived in France on a boat with no oars after being cast off from the Holy Land. Now, you can tell that in and of itself is a really powerful story. We're not going to go there, but for those of you who are interested, you can Google and find out more about that. So these three Marys who landed in this area were Mary Magdalene, Mary of Clopas, and Mary of Salome. That's Yeshua's sister. So all of these three women were sainted by the people of the region because they performed so many miracles. If you walk into the church, which is about 1,000 years old, you'll see painting after painting after painting of these three Marys performing miracles for the people of that region. And some of these paintings are really ancient, and some of these paintings are relatively new. And so just walking into the church, you could feel that it was pregnant with the energy of the divine feminine essence of Christ consciousness. And there is a section of the church where there is a crypt with Saint Sarah's skull. And Saint Sarah is known as the patron saint of the gypsies. She is also, legend has it, Yeshua and Mary Magdalene's child, because when Mary Magdalene landed, it is said that she was pregnant. So I had a powerful experience in the crypt, but I had an even more powerful experience when I went to the upper chapel, where I sat in meditation for a very long time. And there was a lot that was shown to me. And honestly, I am still coming into understanding this information, and it'll probably take me decades, maybe even the rest of my life, to fully understand it. The first aspect of what happened was Holy Spirit, Divine Mother Sophia came to me and shared with me many different levels of who she is and what she is really all about, how she is connected to the energy of the Holy Spirit, and more. And I'll talk about more about this in future videos and writings. However, in regard to the power of the word, next what happened is yet that Yeshua and Mary Magdalene came to me, and it was as if they gave me a gift of this information that was held in a kind of a container, if you will. It was like they gifted it to me, and I am still unpacking that container. But the primary thing that the container holds is the information regarding how we are divine beings and how we can actually make manifest and activate our co-creative abilities in the world. And again, this is this coming together of this light divine energy from our higher self merging with our word. And so we're going to take some time to really unpack that. So when I came back from France, I was in a major process of integration. integrating the light that I experience and it coming down into the darkness. And I asked for a lot of help. How do I do all of this? How do I integrate all of this information that at times it felt beyond my capability to do so? And so I kept on getting the message over and over again. Connect with the power of the word. Connect with prayer in a way that you haven't connected to before. So I went into meditation and I was shown how to bring this higher awareness, this higher self complex aspect of the divinity that I am down into the places inside of me that really, really wanted help, that needed support, that needed to call on support on multiple different levels. And what I found was that when this happened, when I was able to actually quantify, feel, sense, know, intuit this higher energy coming into direct contact with my empowered will, miracles were made manifest. It was just amazing. At the very beginning, I utilized this in my emotional and my spiritual awakening experiences because very often I was overwhelmed. And a lot of what I was praying for was to come back into alignment, come back into capacity. And again, it was like a laser beam focus that just went zoom, and I would be back in capacity within 3 seconds. It was just amazing. Right. And then from there, I started realizing, oh, this is actually for real. And more things started coming in, not just on an emotional, spiritual aspect, but also on a physical aspect. And that's whenever I started going deeper and deeper with it. And I realized that the more I went into my embodiment process, the more powerful it would work. So, for those new to this work, let me just define what I mean by embodiment process. So, it is the process, how I define it, it is the process of the down and in movement of our own divinity and the divine essence within our higher self moving into our being, right? So it helps stabilize our negative voices so they're no longer running. It allows for there to be a contact, a relationship made with the dense contractions inside of us so that they transmute more and more. So, literally, as the density within our being transmutes, what happens is that there's more space so that the divine energy of our higher self and the divinity that flows through our higher self can be made manifest in our day-to-day lives, right? So the more we go deeper on this path of embodiment, what happens is that there is more divine energy in our being. And if there's more divine energy in our being, you bet when we bring that focus of that divine energy into contact with what it is that we're calling in alignment with our highest good, literally what happens is that it can feel like quantum reality is activating inside of us. Sometimes it felt like a quantum wobble, right? And the things that I was calling forward that were in alignment with my highest good would become manifest. So that's when I started realizing, oh, there is something to this. It needs to be part of somatic awakening. So then I started utilizing it in my practice and utilizing, especially at the end of these potent sessions where people felt off and they needed more capacity, they needed more stabilization. And this would just powerfully bring it in and help them ground it into their life so that they could really stabilize it in their day to day life. So, what I discovered as I went further into this process is that there were times when the process worked really, really amazing. And then there were times when it didn't. So I started going into inquiry. Well, what actually makes this work better and what actually shuts it down so that it doesn't work? So I want to talk a little bit about this first because I could show you the form, but unless you understand this background, it's going to be difficult to actually apply it. So, the first thing, and this is one of the most significant things, is that it works great when you align it to your highest good. And this is really significant and important because we're connecting with our higher self energy. This is what really gives the energy for this manifestation to happen. So if we're calling in something that's not in alignment with our highest good, then it's not going to work. So if it's coming from any level of ego, whether that be greed or lust or whatever it is, right, it doesn't work. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So in this process, what we're really being asked to do is that we're being asked to see, feel, process, transmute, deconstruct our egoic perspectives, the negative voices of the ego, the constrictions, contractions, beliefs, etc. And as we do this, we open to surrendering over and over, more and more to our highest good. Right. So both of these things, the deconstruction of our egoic negative, lower, dense perspectives, along with surrendering over and over to our highest good. This is the recipe for manifestation of highest timeline. I'm going to say it again: deconstruction of the ego, along with surrender over and over to highest good, equals manifestation of highest timeline. Now, as you can tell, this isn't necessarily always going to be agreeing with what our ego wants. It can be the exact opposite sometimes, right? Because we're being asked to surrender over and over again. So this is not necessarily easy, but very, very worth it, right? So that's the first thing. So the second thing that's important to actually bring about and to feel, sense, know in order for this process to work is trust. So just like with any spiritual experience, the more you have that experience, the more that you trust that it's real. The more that you have an experience of the divine inside of you, the more that you trust the divine is real. I speak a lot about this in teaching somatic awakening. I talk a lot about this in terms of the domino effect. So the more that you have the experience of your adult consciousness or your higher self witness consciousness or higher connection to power of the word decree, whatever it is, the more you have that experience, the more that you can trust it. And the more that you trust it, the more it works, right? This is just opening to that feeling, sensing, knowing, I know this is real, right? The trust. Right next to the trust comes belief. So the more that we experience it, the more that we trust it, the more we believe that it is so. Again, it's that feeling, sensing, knowing inside of us that it is so. And the more that we believe that it is so, the more the power is invoked to manifest what is in your highest good. So then we have gratitude. So gratitude is like the WD-40, if you will, of this whole process. It is based on both the trust as well as the belief. And it's an even higher vibration because in really opening to gratitude, what we're doing is that we're affirming that we trust and we know that this is going to happen. And because we trust and we know, we believe, we are giving gratitude that it's already here, right? And so this is one of the things that we incorporate in the actual form of the power of the word decree, which I'll be teaching you in just a moment, is we, at the very end, we go, thank you, thank you, thank you. And in that time, we're calling in this deep sense of gratitude. Also, the last thing that allows us to work really well is to have super clear intentions. So the more clear you are about what you're calling in, the easier it is to manifest. Now, sometimes we utilize the power of the word to get clearer and clearer on what it is that we're calling forward, which I'll talk about that in a moment. So say, for instance, we're in a healing process and we want to bring in the next level of clarity in regard to that thing that we're healing, right? So that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about really the process of what it is that you want to be made manifest, right? So again, we'll delineate that more as we go forward with that specific piece. But the one thing I do want to say, and this has been said many, many times through many levels of teachers who teach manifestation, is be careful for what you ask for, right? This is very important. And I know that I've learned from the School of Hard Knocks that you need to be very aware of it. So One of the things that I have incorporated into the power of the word decree are some built in filters that help mitigate any negativity that you might inadvertently call in. So, again, we'll talk about that as we go into the actual power of the word decree. So let's talk about what causes this not to work. So if I could just say one word that would encapsulate everything I'm getting ready to teach you, and that is ego. Any ego constructs will just close it down. So let's talk about the different perceptions or the different levels of that. So on one perception, there is what I'll call the materialistic ego voice, or the power over ego voice, or the lustful ego voice, right? It's like, I want, it's the I want part. I want that Porsche. I want that really cute guy. I want $1 million, right? Whatever that is, right? That's coming from ego. So it's almost like when we're having an ego voice come up, even if it's subconsciously, and we're calling in something from the power of the word decree, utilizing our higher self, we're activating the energy over here. It's starting in the process, and then this ego voice will be like a cement wall, push, not going anywhere. It just falls flat, right? So be really mindful of if you call in something and you know it doesn't work, is it coming from ego, right? And so this is one level of ego, right? The materialistic voice or the power over voice, etc. Then there's the other level of ego that can be a little bit more subtle and subconscious. So this level of ego is the less than voice, or the victim voice, or I can't have this, I don't get this, right? So an example of this is that, say for instance, you have a voice that says, well, you'll never be abundant, you'll never be rich, you don't get that, or you don't have the ability to be completely healthy, or you don't have the ability to actually call in the relationship that you really want, right? So this kind of voice is usually very deep and very subconscious. But again, if it's running, it's like a cement wall, right? We're calling in the energy and then boosh, and it falls flat, right? So in this kind of situation, what you want to do is call in healing. So say for instance, you call in, divine abundance, and you're calling into this great field of abundance in your life, and that on a part of you is kind of pushing that energy, and a part of you is like, yeah, well, call in whatever you want and you'll never get it, right? So if you feel something like that, then I just recommend that you stop and actually come into alignment with that voice, right? Whatever it is, right? And to bring in healing to that voice. And there's many different ways to bring it in healing. So, outside of somatic awakening, there's many different things that you can do to bring it in healing. Definitely, you can bring it into phase one, Gestalt somatic awakening. That's really helping you to come into stabilization and awareness of that negative voice, to bring it into the practice, which is phase two. And that will help you come into relationship with it and how it lives in your being, and the deeper fuel, probably coming from trauma or some difficulty in the past, that is causing this negative voice to be present. Also, you can utilize the power of the word decree to help you take that next step forward. So, in this situation, you would utilize the power of the word decree by asking to bring forward what it is that you need to know to completely heal this voice, right? And again, you're going to have filters. So, you're not going to overwhelm your being in this process, but what you're doing is that you're bringing that next piece. I know for myself, when I've done this kind of work, it is almost like tapping, right? So in tapping, you come into one level of awareness. It's also called emotional freedom technique. You come into one level of awareness of what you're bringing forward or what you really need to know. And then all of a sudden, the next level. And so you move that down, and then the next level that needs healing, right? So this is the same kind of thing, utilizing the power of the word, where you can actually have a session where you're just calling in that next level. For instance, you might, again, believe that you're not worthy of abundance. And then you do a power over the word decree, and you realize, oh, this is connected to my mother's family because they were really poor, and they lived, in a very poor area of the world, of the United States, and they still are really poor, right? So then you call in, what do you need to know about that? And then go on deeper and deeper to bring in healing to whatever it is, whatever is there, right? So This is one of the first ways that I utilize power of the word to create. And this is what I actually recommend everyone to begin with, because it is so powerful to work with your emotional as well as somatic and spiritual needs to help stabilize the awareness that just arose, to help bring you back into capacity, to help you bring in the healing that is needed for what you're going through, right? So utilizing this with the emotional, energetic, spiritual aspects can be so powerful that this will help you in that trust, believe, gratitude perspective, so that then you can utilize it more as you practice it more and more, and to bring in more of the physical manifestation. I found that that's what works the best. So, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to call in the power of the word to create to help teach you what it is. And then after we do this, we're going to go into transmission. So, I'm going to take a quick sip of water here. All right. So, the first thing that I just want to remind you of is that the power of the word decree is a form, right? It's a form. And it's a form that becomes more and more enlivened as you connect to the divine energy coming into your being from your higher self complex, right? And as this energy comes into contact with your empowered divine will, right? So the more of this energy there is, the more aligned it becomes, the more the merging happens in this quantum field of reality, making matter, emotions manifest, right? And the more that you do this, the more it's going to work, right? So we begin with this phrase: I now know from my divine I am consciousness. I now know from my divine I am consciousness. So, first, let's take a moment to define, what do I mean by divine I am consciousness? So, in essence, this is an aspect of our higher self. This is a very high aspect of our higher self. So we are calling that into play. And the more that we come into our higher self, the more that we know this I am consciousness, right? It is a layered aspect, a layered understanding that grows in more and more as we understand it in our own experience, as we call it in our own experience. So another way of viewing this is that Yeshua was in his 100% I am consciousness when he was making miracles manifest in our world, when he was turning the water into wine, for instance, right? And we come into connection more and more with our I am consciousness as we go deeper, or I should say higher and deeper, of the embodiment of our higher self, right? So what we're doing is that we're claiming in this first phrase, I now know from my divine I am consciousness. So we're claiming that we now know whatever we're getting ready to call in. And we're also claiming that we now know that we are connected to our divine I am consciousness. All right. So then after you say, I now know from my divine I am consciousness, you say that I now call in, or you can also use the word I now know. So you use either one of those words at the beginning, in the middle, toward the end, whatever you're calling forward. You would say, I now know. For instance, if you're knowing your divine embodiment, you're now knowing your free will sovereignty, you're now knowing your divine abundance, whatever that is, right? Or if you're calling in something specifically, like you need rent for the, end of the month, or your mortgage paid, or whatever it is, I now know that I call in the financial abundance to pay all my bills and my mortgage this month, right? So you can see there's a differentiation, and you can again utilize either one as you're going through this process. So then you come to the meat of what you're calling in. So that was what I was just giving you an example of, whether you're calling in abundance, or whether you're calling in something else, you're calling in love, whatever it is. You're calling in healing, deeper awareness, a stabilization of spiritual awakening that just happened, right? So in essence, what you're doing in the meat of it is that you're calling it exactly what it is that you are desiring from this higher self, highest good, highest timeline, specific situation. Now, keep in mind that you're going to be invited as much as possible to be mindful of what you're calling in. Now, the good thing, which I'm getting ready to share with you, is that there are filters, right? And so if you know that you call in something that falls flat, either it was caught by the filter and it wasn't meant for you, or there is some way that it's not in alignment with your highest good, or it could be that it's connected to some ego perspective, right? So just keep that in mind as you're working and utilizing this work, the power of the word decree. So now let's talk about the filters. So I love these filters. I cannot tell you how much I love them. When I got back from France, now you have to remember before I even went to France, I had had probably 2 years of awakening experience after awakening experience, right? So I was kind of toast even before I got to France, right? And then France just blew me completely wide open. And so when I came back, I was in overwhelm a lot. So I started the power of the word decree just utilizing these filters because I was in overwhelm and I wanted to get back to capacity, right? So these filters not only get you back to capacity, but they also are literally like filters that allow only what you're calling in. So the filters themselves, I'll share with them with you now. It's what I call the mantra that I use all the time. They are, I now know this happens. So you had just called in the meat of whatever you're calling in. So you say, I now know this happens with ease and with grace, with right and perfect timing, and in alignment with highest good. I'm going to say that again. I now know that this happens with ease and with grace, right? So ease and grace. So easy, grace filled. It's not going to cause your life to be completely turned upside down. It's not going to cause some negative thing that you inadvertently called in, right? Ease and grace with right and perfect timing. So your mind doesn't have to be in control of the right and perfect timing. Your right and perfect timing is aligned with your highest good, which is the next thing you're calling in alignment with highest good, right? So you can just relax back. Your mind, your ego can just relax back and know that only the things in alignment with these filters, ease and grace, right and perfect timing, and highest good are going to be made manifest, right? So then we come to the ending, and the ending goes like this: I now know it is so. This is like, you giving your thumbprint or your kind of like your gavel, like I now know it is so. Boom, right? And then you move into gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And sometimes I go even longer and deeper with the gratitude when it's something super important and I'm feeling the gratitude arise up. And then you come in with that gavel again. It is done. It is done. It is done. And if you really want to be super potent with that gavel, you end with, by the power of three, a holy trinity, it is done. Boom. Right. So when we call in the power of the Holy Trinity, what we're doing is that we're calling in the power of the significance of three. Three was the first number that actually was given the meaning all, right? So it is the triad, which contains the beginning, the middle, the end, the mother, the father, the child, the maiden, the mother, the crone, on and on that goes, right? So what we're going to do now is that we are going to go into transmission. And then at the very end, for those of you who are live on the call, we will do a little Q&A. All right. So for those of you who are new to my transmissions, the first thing I want to invite you to do is to hydrate, because I have found that there's the words that come through, and then there's also the energy that comes through. And the energy comes through much easier and much more fluid if we're hydrated. Also, just allow to flow through what is in resonance for you. If something arises that's not in resonance, just let it go. My sense is that we're going to have two very, very special guests today in meditation. I got really clearly it's going to be Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. I love it when they come in. Super powerful. So, we're going to begin with a little grounding meditation to get us really fully in our body. And then I'll go into transmission. But first, let's take a little water break. You feel dehydrated at all? Okay. Okay. So I invite you to close your eyes. Just come into an awareness of your breath, breathing deeply in and out. And as you breathe, just invite yourself to drop more fully into your body. To land here in this moment. And as you're ready, go ahead and bring your awareness all the way down to the base of your spine. And on that next exhale, I invite you to go ahead and drop your awareness from the base of your spine down your grounding cord. Just feel it, sense it, knowing, moving down through the foundation of the building that you're in. If you are inside, you're outside, just dropping it to the earth's crust. And then on that next exhale, just feeling, sensing, knowing that you're dropping your grounding cord all the way down in and through all the different layers of the earth. You don't need to mentally track this. Just allow yourself just to feel this organic movement downward with ease and grace. And on that next exhale, just feeling yourself coming into contact with the core of the earth. Just noticing how you feel that, sense that, know that. What does that look like, feel like for you? And then moving all the way down and into the very center of the core, into this loving, warm, grounding, nurturing, recalibrating energy of the earth. And just feel yourself naturally recalibrating on any and all levels that are in alignment with you. You're in this vision as well as in your body, your energy body, emotional body, all aspects being recalibrated by Gaia right now. Just allowing. Taking another deep breath in and out here. And on that next inhale, just feel, sense, and know that your awareness is now rising back up, moving all the way up to your feet, your calves, your thighs, moving now up to your heart space, your heart body, which includes your heart chakra, your physical heart, and the greater energy that is here in the heart mind of this area of your being. Calling down from here your higher self to make contact with you here in your heart as you just relax back. The right and perfect amount of your higher self making contact with you here. Just noticing what you're noticing. As we call in now, Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, oneness between us and around us, holding and consecrating this space as safe, sacred, and holy for those on this call and those who will be listening to this in the future. You are absolutely included here in this construct that is beyond time and space. Feeling, sensing, knowing the incredible, beautiful diamond golden light that is infusing our collective space together and then is on the outside of this space. Only allowing those in who are in high resonance with the law of love and the law of one. And we invite in now our family of light, those who are of the High Christ Council, the Council of One, the other councils who are connected to our highest good and our highest timeline. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for this teaching on the power of the word decree. We now open this space. I open myself as a conduit for the highest resonant form, inviting Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, or any others who are wanting to teach of this co-creative divinity today. I'm now open to transmission. Mm. Rihanna hukna shunu kula hina kunjamal haina kushana dihanya shumna kinta ha. Ina hoina shita ha shukti ina ahuna hina ha shikita ha. Wana kanta shunna klina manna ha yat shunna makata shita kona tita ha. We now open the largest space for this transmission to now happen in highest good. Beloveds, I am here. You can call me Jesus, Yeshua, Yeshua. There are many, many words for who I am. Christ consciousness, the Christed one. But the one word that is most true is love. Love permeates all things. Love is underlying all matter. Love is what is flowing through your higher self. The divine is love. There are so many philosophies and words, thoughts about what the divine is, and the higher mind is a part of the divine. But when it all comes down to what the divine truly is, the divine is love. So, what you are doing in aligning higher self awareness and the divine that flows through this part of you into direct contact with your empowered divine will, what you are doing is that you are calling in love to reform itself. The mind may not understand this, and that is okay. This is not meant for the mind. This is meant for the heart, the great expansive heart that is at one with this divine love. So it is important that you realize and understand that this love will always call you toward more love. And even when it seems like it is perhaps leading you away from love, it is always calling you toward a higher vibration of this love, a higher understanding of how your highest good is aligned to this love and how your highest timeline is aligned to this love. How your awakening, enlightenment, and ascension process is allowing more love. All the way to unification and beyond. It is just more and more and more understanding of this love. This is why the power of the word decree only will allow you to manifest what is in your highest good, because that is what is loving. It doesn't allow you to manifest from your ego construct, because your ego construct is not always concerned with love. So when you align the power of the word decree to your life, you are invited to be aware of what is ultimately serving. It is ultimately serving more love in your life, more self-love, more abundance, so that you can feel abundantly loved, abundantly nourished, abundantly cared for, have abundant compassion for yourself, so that you may live more with ease, so that you can have more time to open to this love. On and on it goes. So many configurations of co-creative potential as a human. And it is very, very important for you to understand all of these potentialities in your free will. So sometimes that may look and feel like you are moving away from love. But then you are asked to come into contact with that which feels that you are moving away from love. Very often in the ego construct form. And to move toward the surrender to your highest good, which will inevitably lead you toward more love. An example of this is, for instance, a person going through a breakup with a partner, and they may feel upset or hurt or confused or angry, and they may feel like it is moving them away more and more from love. But then they step back and they realize that these difficult feelings are coming from many different places, but primarily from the attachments from the ego. And they realize this partner, although was perfect for them for a while, is no longer aligned to their highest good. So they are asked to heal their ego constructs, surrender the highest good, and to once again have their feet firmly planted on their highest timeline. So this is my primary teaching for today. And it is important for you to understand that although spirituality, especially when you get into the philosophy and especially when you get into the religions, it can seem complex, confusing, hyper intellectual. But if you can just keep this one thing in mind, that it all comes back to love, then it frees you. It allows you to relax. It allows you to surrender and to accept. It allows you to be guided more and more to your highest timeline, which is filled with love, unendingly filled with love. A love that will carry you through this lifetime and beyond. And with this, I end this transmission and open for my Quinonos, Mary Magdalene. Beloveds, I am here and I am so delighted to share with you the emotional aspect of this work. So we take the thread, my beloved Yeshua, of love, and we weave it into compassion. And we allow this compassion to move into the deeper recesses of the subconscious, the ego constructs, the negative voices, the voices of egotism or desiring things that are not in your highest good, as well as the voices that say that you can't have it, all the way down to the voice that says you're not worthy of it, or that in some way that you're tainted and can never manifest. When we look at all of these voices from a place of non-judgment, from a place of compassion, from a place of witnessing them, in a way so that we can see them as young children. We can see them as hurt parts. We can see them as leftovers from difficult past lives. We can even see them as programs from our family or from very, very long ago in ancient past lives. Whatever they are, wherever they came from, as we can sit with these places inside and offer them compassion, offer them mercy, offer them love. You become freer and freer to become, to manifest, to step into who you truly are in your highest good and highest timeline. This is an important missing piece in what you call law of attraction perspective. Some teachers speak of this, some don't. Some speak of it only mildly. Let us see it for what it is. It is the key. It is the key that either is not used and the door stays locked and shut. So, in other words, the door stays locked and shut when the ego is running. Or we use this key of compassion, of love, of mercy, of grace, of surrendering to highest good, highest timeline. And we stick the key in the door and the door opens. It is always up to you. It is an ongoing process. There's no wrong way to do it. And it is the path of deconstruction of the negative ego and choosing highest good, highest timeline. Easy, not easy. Simple, yet not simple. This path, however, gives you the freedom of becoming unified, both human and divine human, of reconciling your inner polarities. And as this path goes deeper and deeper, you step more and more into your I am avatar consciousness. So with this, we invite you all to take 3 full deep breaths in and out. And as you breathe, we invite you to consider the things that you most want to call into your life right now. Things that you are longing for, wanting, desiring from this soul, heart, spirit, higher self complex place. And we are going to now activate the power of the word decree together. So we're going to go through one layer of power of the word decree, and then we'll go through another layer of the power of the word decree. In the first layer, we will be giving you guidance as to what to say. So just repeat after us what feels in alignment for you. You always have free will. And in the second layer of the power of the word decree, we will set the decree up for you, and then you will call in what it is that you most want to call in. Okay. So if you are thirsty, take another sip of water. And as you're ready, let's go ahead and begin. Again, repeat after us. I now know from my divine I am consciousness that I activate the power of the word decree in my life now. I now know that I call in guidance from my highest guides, aligned to my highest good, to support me in this process. I now know that I now activate my divine co-creator abilities in my life now. I now feel, sense, and know the power of my higher self and all aspects of it moving into connection and merging with my empowered divine will. I now call this in with ease and with grace, in right and perfect timing, and alignment with my highest good. I now know it is so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I call this in on every level. It is done. It is done. It is done. By the power of three, a holy trinity, it is done. So taking some nice deep breaths in and out. You might notice energy moving in your body or tingling or something else, just being aware of what you're noticing. And as you do so, just become aware of what it is that you most want to call in to your life now. And now we're going to start again. And this time, you're going to call in what it is that you most are longing for, and that is in the highest alignment for you and your highest good. Here we go again. I now know from my I am consciousness that I call in and know. Now speak to whatever it is that you want to call in. Allowing what you're calling in to come to a place of completion. And repeat after us. I now call this in with ease and with grace, in right and perfect timing, and alignment with my highest good. I now know it is so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. By the power of three, a holy trinity, it is done. Again, just notice how you feel, coming back to your breath, feeling this magic inside of you of your higher self energy merging with the empowered divine will inside of you, knowing that that which is in alignment with your highest good is already on its way. Giving gratitude for that now. Feeling, sensing, knowing, trust, believing this is so. Just surrendering. So with this, beloveds, we in the unified voice of Yeshua and Magdalene invite you to take this on as a practice in your own life, to utilize it when you feel stretched, when you need support, when you need help in your life, when you feel like you can't go on just by yourself from the ego mind. To utilize this as a daily practice, to allow it to help you to take that next step of healing, as an inquiry practice that will show you what needs seen, what needs love, as a manifestation practice to call in that support, to call in that love, to call in the abundance, whatever is needed, to call it in, to know that you are a divine co-creator, to know that you have this right inside of you, that it's already imprinted in your being. It's part of your architecture. And that in this process, it's naturally and automatically going to help you differentiate from ego voice to your higher self divine voice, from ego desires to surrendering to your highest good, and ultimately helping you place both feet even more solidly on the path of your highest timeline. We are so delighted that this transmission that started many years ago has blossomed, and we will continue supporting it in all ways. So as part of this, we invite you to utilize this to call us in to support you, or call in other ascended masters, angelic beings, whatever is most in alignment with you. You can utilize this to call in massive levels of support to stabilize, heal, awaken your life, and to help you come back into the river of love, which is your highest timeline. We end this transmission with oceans and oceans of love supporting you, dear ones. And so it is. Thank you, Yeshua and Magdalene. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your support, continued support. I now close this conduit, this channel, and this time, knowing that your support is always welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with this, we finish and complete this transmission in all time and space. So, as you're ready, go ahead and come back and open your eyes. Rearrange some things here. So, as they mentioned, you're now invited to utilize this powerful decree, this healing process, this manifestation to your highest good, this opening to your highest timeline in your day to day life. So, thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you who are live, go ahead and stay with me, but I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. So, for those of you who are part of the overall membership of Somatic Awakening Sangha, you'll receive this soon. And for those of you who are viewing this from some other place, I just want to invite you, if you are interested more in finding out about this work, that you can go to sophiahealingacademy.com. All right, much love and many blessings, everyone.